Hollywood actors are speaking out, responding to reports that multiple talent agencies are interested in signing an AI actress.
I'm built on everything that came before me.
Tilly Norwood might seem like any other aspiring actress. She has an Instagram page showing off her screen tests alongside candid moments.
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
So after watching that, what are your thoughts? I mean, think about actors and actresses today, how they have to enhance them because of age. They're human beings, correct?
Gross.
These are AI tools, AI generated actors and actresses. You can keep them at whatever age you want, or make them age if you need them to. So I guess my question to you is, after seeing and hearing all of this, what are your thoughts? Is Hollywood in trouble?
Gross.
I love it. I mean,
No.
think about it. No, it's great because
It's Harvey
you and I can watch.
Weinstein's Harvey Weinstein's wet dream. He can now get an 18-year-old girl who can't say no, not a girl, an object, which is how men like Harvey Weinstein think of women, as objects. So now they have the perfect object that they can put into horrifying situations. No one can ask whether the nudity in this scene is necessary. No one can ask the guy who runs that horrible HBO show Euphoria whether the abuse against women is actually necessary for any kind of interesting storytelling. You can just rape all of these fake actresses as many times as you want. That's great. Anybody who's in favor of this is in favor of the terrifying, horrible things that men do to women in Hollywood. And now they don't need to worry about consent. Now they don't need to worry about it. And you know how I know I'm right? Because men are the more expensive people in Hollywood. Men still get paid more than women. So if you were doing this because you wanted to deal with cutting your costs and not having to deal with that, you wouldn't have rolled out an 18-year-old girl for your first one. So anyone who's in support of this is in support of Harvey Weinstein. Now to Andrew, who's in support of this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, think about it. Like, like Princess Leia could have been any race or any yeah. You getting to pick the movie your way. Like, that's what I want, you know?
They did that with The Little Mermaid. They finally gave a black actress the chance to be Ariel. They could have greenlit 5 different versions of The Little Mermaid with an Asian actress and actually paid a human being for their craft. This is not an actor. This is a thing designed to know.
You can tell the same movie over and over because people's preferences are, well, I don't like this person. I will switch it out. These are dynamically generated like characters in a movie based on this is progress. This is what AI is supposed to be doing. This is progress.
This is theft from thousands of women whose faces and voices were combined to make this person so that they could abuse it and stop paying people to do anything. This is the death of art. There is no innovation. You will never receive. So go and look at an analysis of the movie. Oh, what's the movie I just read about? Kramer versus Kramer. And if you read the script of Kramer versus Kramer, 1, it's a product of its time and pretty horrifying apparently now if you go back to it. But 2, the courtroom scene that Meryl Streep absolutely destroys, chews through the scenery of that scene. The script as written is not that great. Meryl Streep, as a human being with creativity and innovation and the ability to infuse soul and life and character and pathos into the character, turned that courtroom scene into the famous thing that it is because she's a human being. This bot will never do that.
No, we just need to get more Meryl Streep data in the model. I mean,
that's awful.
This is great. This is getting a movie your way.
Why do you need a movie your way when you could simply find that's
it's let's look at hang on. What about the dwarves, right? Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. And dwarf actors were arguing, like, hey, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, like, we're right here, we're ready to use. Now we can just fire all of them and just say, everybody's happy. It doesn't matter who you are. Now you can have the movie your way. And if you want
Snow White and the 7 strapping black men. Because what you want to see is yourself represented in the movie. Like, listen to yourself. No, like, just come up with a new story. Moana, that's a porn. Moana just is a news story that a bunch of Pacific Island girls got to see themselves in that character. They didn't
Yeah.
need to see themselves in Snow White. They got Moana. Why aren't we creating new opportunities with new stories and new things? The whole point of art that tech bros do not seem to understand is, yes, the hero's journey, and there are just 7 stories out there. The way that you see yourself in those stories is by letting people tell new stories, because yes, you'll get the same, the structure and the beats, and you'll get to see something equivalent to Elsa, but not as a white girl. It'll be an Asian boy who gets to go and conquer his fear of being, left alone and too powerful, but it'll be a new story. Why aren't we paying writers and actors and producers to generate thousands of these new stories? Your idea is correct. Your implementation fucking sucks.
No, I think but it could lead to that though, right? Like
It won't.
AI,
It won't.
I
Capitalism
know it
won't let
won't,
it.
but I
No,
gotta lure
right.
you in so that
No,
you get
you're
killed
wrong,
as part of
'cause-
the whole. You get
yeah.
churned out. I know it won't, and that's how we evolve, right? You know me. We talk about this all the time, right? Like, is it going to suck for them? Yes, but it's going to suck for a lot of other people too who are losing their jobs. And this, I just think it's such progress. I think this is what AI was supposed to be doing early on. And those actors can go do other things, right? Like, no one's taking stage away. Maybe stage suddenly becomes like much more interesting because Tom Cruise is now on the stage, like
Why not
yeah.
all of it? This is it is theft of other people's work. It is then being retreated as a person. It is like you went and stole Van Gogh's Starry Night, printed it out onto a mug, and then started pointing at the mug and saying, "She is great." No, you stole that, and it's not a her.
But every single musician who's ever wrote a song stole sound from somebody else.
And
Everybody
then
who's ever made a joke
creatively- and then
stole the joke from somewhere else.
They didn't. That's called human synthesis. That is the soul of creativity. That is my
Yeah.
point, is yes, every story can be boiled down. Not every story, but like most, go to college. People who don't know these things should stop pretending that they know and go learn from the people who do. Yes, there are like 8 stories that we always tell over and over and over and over and over again. But the creativity and the uniqueness is the fact that human beings get to find their own thumbprint on that story and tell it for themselves. You're killing it.
What if I want to turn a 15 rated movie into a 12? I can do that with an AI actor and say, make sure because it's cheaper. They can just, it could even be dynamic. It's like, who's watching? 12-year-old kid. All right, give them the generated version where their head does not come off. So many problems.
You're not
Just
solving a
solve so
problem. You're
many
inventing a problem to solve. You're saying that the problem is I can't watch Revenge of the Sith when I'm 4 years old. Yeah, AI, you don't want AI to try to figure that out. You want human beings to figure out how to tell a story to a 4-year-old.
I can watch the 4-year-old version of Revenge of the Sith. Then when I get to 10, I can watch the 10-year-old version. When I get to 25, I can watch the 25-year-old version of Revenge of I can sell that movie so many times over.
For what? That's
Money.
yeah, that's the problem. All of this is about money for you people. I'm using you people in the pejorative. I'm lumping you in. Yes, absolutely.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah. Tech bros are not a protected class. It's the death of creativity and art, and it is letting commerce drive decisions. That's not how you want to talk about how we evolve. How we evolve has never been through that. It has been.
Look at the music industry, right? Like 30 years ago, a select group of good-looking people who could play some music were allowed into a very expensive recording studio that somebody would, pay for them because they knew they were going to sell records and they were going to take a chunk of money from them. And then technology came along and people started to realize, like, holy shit, even as a garage band, we can go on the internet and be famous, like, right? So maybe that's going to happen. Maybe we'll have an explosion of movies where real actors use the same tech to make movies. Like maybe we get like this really cool indie channel where there's thousands more movies of people who are like, well, I can use the same tech and I don't need to know 7 actors because I can AI generate like the people who are going to be in the movie with me. That's success.
That's not
is
success.
the
So
promised land.
No, horrible. 2 problems with that. You could just go and do that. That's called like local community theater and like finding people. This is another thing, which is all of technology is driving us into isolation. You should be going and finding other real people who are passionate about this and doing that with them. So 1, go build a community and do that themselves. You don't need 6 other AI fake things that are not people. 2, it's the same problem with software development, which is you're going to take capitalism is going to use this to take away people's ability to do any of this work themselves. And so just like with software engineers, when you no longer have junior programmers, you'll never have senior software programmers. Just when Hollywood decides it doesn't need human beings anymore, then there is no place for you to become an actor and to go and create that indie channel because you've killed that entire options for people. And so that world will never happen. 3, the corporations are never going to allow that. Spotify is purposefully trying to kill the GarageBand musician by flooding their zone with AI generated bullshit. So the corporations are not interested in your idea of what this could have been and will never let it become that unless we get in the way. So is there some future which like look at a person like, I don't know, Charlie Puth uses a piano synth to create 400 different instruments to create his tracks, but then actually goes into the studio and works with those actual people once he knows that it's a good idea because he knows you need actual musicians at the end of the day. So there are situations in a non-capital, currently controlled world where tools like this maybe make some things better, but because that's not how they're going to be used, it'll never happen. That's just not how the system's working.
I personally think you've made some good arguments. I do. I feel like there's some solid arguments in there, but oh boy, like it is happening, and it's gonna create jobs. I think it will create jobs. I think it's gonna create. Yeah, I think it's going to do what it did for movies, like for music. I think we'll start to see. We might even start to see like the kind of movies that I like, 25 minutes with all the skip 10s, you know, like not because yeah, people are going to be able to create, and they'll do amazing, wonderful things with the same tools that these studios are using. We'll get the open source versions, and first few movies will be kind of crappy, and then we'll get better tools, and then we'll start to see like. I always look at it like this. People are like, how can you go read the spoilers? I'm like, because since The Matrix, I haven't seen a movie that shocked me. I haven't seen a movie where I was like, holy crap. But I think the new indie world, using all these tools, we will see those movies where I maybe see 12 of those a year. That's what I'm banking on.
That's
progress.
A ridiculous fantasy in which, 1, you're inflicting your lack of awe at art on the rest of us. Everyone else in the world has seen 40 things since The Matrix in 1999 that have been interesting to them. So I'm sorry your media consumption has sucked. It hasn't been true for the rest of us. Stop punishing us for your lack of awe.
I live in a country that thinks A Princess Bride is a good movie. Okay, so...
This is the whole point, is art is subjective, and you guys are all trying to round it down to generic, commoditized, money-making operations. Art, no, you're not, because it's not. That's not how it's going to work. You are not. Steven Spielberg didn't need AI to go become a movie maker. He started with an 8mm camera and his friends and went and did all of that and found the people. The best stories out there are of the ones who started making Rocky Horror on a slim budget and turned into other things. That is how it has evolved, is people working with people and finding creativity amongst themselves. Evil Dead is a terrible movie, but Sam Raimi got his start and eventually ended up being the guy who went and did Doctor Strange and did a really crazy bonkers zombie Doctor Strange, because he started with 2 friends who wanted to make a zombie movie in the 70s or 80s. Like, this thing that you think should happen already does happen. It doesn't happen enough, but your solution is to go in the way that is pro-capitalist. The capitalists will eliminate the next Sam Raimi because they will never fund the next Sam Raimi. They will just simply have a computer churn out repetitive slop. By the way, none of these things are creating innovative new things. Every example all of you guys come up with is you can think that they will, but they haven't yet because the technology is fundamentally not designed to do that. The technology is fundamentally designed to give me black Star Wars, Japanese Star Wars, French Star Wars. You're all being, wouldn't it be cool if Star Wars was 1920s noir? Holy shit, come up with a new idea. You can't because it needs to use other people's assets. It will never invent on its own. And the people who could be creative enough to invent on their own could simply be supported and work with 40 other people. And the answer, oh, we should somehow have this technology cut the 39 people out of that equation, is bad for society. It's bad for the culture. It's bad for everything.
I think I'm excited. I gotta be honest. I think it's gonna create opportunity. I think this is the kind of thing that will create jobs at a higher rate than the number of actors that get fired. But there'll be jobs for other people other than the actors.
I'll
The
point out,
actors can go,
but so in the history of Hollywood, jobs have transformed and expanded, but very rarely have they completely disappeared. So makeup artists used to have to paint women's faces like a weird shade of green so that it looked like it was a dark red lipstick when it was black and white. People who did all of the practical effects ended up being replaced by people who could figure out how to do CGI, but the people who were doing a thing were in a new and expanded role, and suddenly you needed 400 people working at Industrial Light and Magic to produce the next Star Wars because you needed that many people working on computer programs. But what it's never done is taken jobs like away from people. And that's bad. You should feel bad that you're trying to do a thing. And also the product is going to be inferior. So that's the other thing is, at some point, a bunch of people, yeah, absolutely. My whole point about Kramer versus Kramer, an AI bot will never invent new skill and capability and find the nuance and the interesting thing within a role. The fact that Harrison Ford on Star Wars made Han Solo cool and interesting is because of Harrison Ford. Has nothing to do with the script. Had George Lucas programmed an AI bot, you all would have thought Han Solo was a weird robot loser. So human beings need to be part of this.
no, but then you get a Han that everybody likes because I didn't like Han. Like I never enjoyed Han's character. I always felt like he didn't want to do, and it comes into the person too. Like it always felt like I don't know, just watching it it didn't
But
like
you need,
like he didn't want to be there.
then what you wanted was a different actor. You would have never found the nuance of something through an AI bot. It will not become better at the craft it was trained by stealing other people's work on.
But
It will
there's
not
people
improve.
there's people like me who don't need the highest quality sound, and I don't need the highest quality acting. I just don't
And
want to stare at
that's
Harrison Ford or Han
fine.
Solo.
There are hundreds of slop YouTube channels that shitty parents are willing to put their little 3-year-old in front of, and you want to let your kid brain rot on repetitive nonsense, crappy cartoons, you can make that choice. What you guys are doing, though, is killing the good stuff for the rest of us. And that's the part that pisses me off. You all want AI
No.
slop that you can go watch 14 different iterations on the same story. Do that. But the industry that you're having do this is going to take away my good art in order to give you bad slop. And what you can't
No.
do, yes, that's what's going to happen. Welcome to the
I know
system you live
that's
in.
going to happen. What I'm saying though is like, I'm not making Hollywood do this. I'm not asking them to do it. They're going to do it, and I'm saying, cool, all right.
They're
you
doing it
know.
because they're run by people like you. Hollywood has been taken over by tech assholes, and they have no soul. They are soulless
God.
monsters who don't know what art is,
Wait,
and they
wait,
are in
all
the
right.
business because they want to be near hot actors and they want to make a ton of money. But at least the studio heads in the 1950s who were total monsters, at least they wanted to create art. They were terrible people who did terrible things to their actors, but at least they understood the craft of creating cinema. That is not the case of the current oligarchs who run Hollywood. They are all billionaire asswipes and trying to kill things off so that they can make a slightly higher return percentage. they're not interested in doing good things and then also giving you, like, it'd be one thing if there was a bunch of people who were like, I'm going to use the masses and I'm going to turn them all into Wall-E fat slobs, just feeding them constant streams of media bullshit, and I'm going to use all of that to create really interesting art for the 40% of people who don't want to turn into Wall-E. And they're not doing that. They want all of us to turn into Wall-E. Fuck you. Absolutely not. David
So wait a minute.
Zaslav is a terrible person who has no right being in the business that he's in.
Am I one of those terrible tech assholes?
Yeah, you are hoping to be fed. You want mommy's nipple to feed you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm going to get all of the little slop that just fires off my dopamine receptors. I never have to think. I never have to be challenged. The Matrix was the greatest thing. I'm going to watch Black Matrix and Asian Matrix and all women Matrix and all male Matrix and all child Matrix and all grandparent Matrix. I'm going to have the slop machine produce the same thing over and over and over and over again. Ma, 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 ma. I get to feed off of this AI. Ugh, awful. Soulless.
Oh, it's going to be so hard. Your next 2 decades are going to be really painful. You're going to age. You're going to age because this is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's really bad. Really
Oh, I
bad.
can't wait. I can't
I'm
wait
not
to see the
convinced,
next
by the way, that
Alien movie.
I'm not convinced that consumers actually want this in mass. I think
I
superhero fatigue is real. Marvel, even DC, they're all struggling to figure out what to do because consumers are realizing, that's the same thing I've seen over and over again. There's a
I
reason
think we'll
why
get used to
K-pop
it.
Demon Hunters is so successful, because it's a thing they've never seen before. It's a reason why Sinners was so successful, because it was a thing they'd never seen before. Black vampires in New Orleans. How cool is that? We gave a bunch of people the creative license to go and tell a unique story that they'd never seen before, and audiences fucking loved it. So why aren't we going and making the next 14 Sinners? Instead, we're making, I mean, Superman was good. I really enjoyed this version of Superman. Fuck all of the incels who didn't like this hopeful, optimistic, pro-immigrant Superman. But we're making another Superman movie. Like, we'll see.
I don't know. I see the other way. I just kind of lean the other way where it's gonna be like BK, have it your way. Who wouldn't want that? And a lot of people just the lesser quality for the choice, just so much better.
I'm not convinced. And even if that was the case, as stewards of the culture, we should want better for everyone. And it's bad to let them go into their basest instincts. It's bad that the McDonald's dollar menu and the fact that people who are on the lower ranks of income, it's cheaper sometimes to get fast food and processed food than it is to get healthy, good food. That's society making a bad choice, and we should want better for ourselves. Like, we could choose not to have food deserts where the only choice is to drive 40 miles to the single Walmart and it's cheapest to buy the plastic bag full of processed food than it is to have a corner local grocer who is going to give you locally produced greens and fruits and
Oh.
vegetables and grains and all of those kinds of things. We
Yeah.
could choose a better society for ourselves, and we've let corporations decide not to do that so that 22 billionaires can become trillionaires. Fuck off.
I was going to use that as an example, by the way. Like, do you remember how strawberries used to taste, right? When we were kids, they used to taste like strawberries, and now they don't. And people have got used to it. So, like, the people who don't know how a strawberry tastes, they never miss anything. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. It's kind of like that, right? It's like
Strawberries
they don't
still
know what a
taste
strawberry
good when you
tastes.
get them. Strawberries still taste good when you get them locally and in season. The problem is
Yeah,
they
yeah,
figured
yeah.
out how to cold preserve them. Like, the likelihood that
Yeah.
you're eating an apple that sat in cold storage for 7 months in a shipping container somewhere is pretty concerning. Yeah, like my family. So a Christmas tradition that we have from my family, from the Norwegians who immigrated to North Dakota, is you get an orange in the stocking at Christmas, because it was rare to get an orange and have that as a sweet fruit that was delicious and something that you could have. And that was one of your Christmas treats, was an orange. And like, now oranges are just on the shelf all the time, and they probably shouldn't be. We should probably have The on-demand society that we have in all aspects of our life is actually bad for us, and we should go in the other direction. I don't want to sound like one of those frickin' men's rights return, everything should be Roman Greco, architecture, and we should go back to the 1950s. But there are parts of our society that are designed to effectively punish us, because giving people everything that they want is actually bad for them. And you shouldn't get every flavor of Star Wars that you want. It's bad for you. AI art is bad for you.
Yeah, but look at it. You said it right? Like, you want to get the farm fresh strawberry, right? The organic one, maybe. And you pay a little more and you can still have yours. You can go see 80-year-old Tom Cruise, right? But I don't want to, like,
But
you
that's
know,
the point, is you're not offering choice. This is the fundamental problem with tech bros and mostly conservatives. RFK Jr., all of the campaign in 2024 was talking about how it's about not having the government mandate that you have to take the vaccine. Vaccine should be a parent choice. And then RFK Jr. gets in office, and what he does is take away vaccines from everyone. So you guys aren't interested in choice, because actually you're not pro-choice. You in all ways hate choice. What you want is to take away from us the things we want so that you guys can get the shitty substandard version. RFK Jr. is going to let children die because he doesn't think anyone should get vaccines. He thinks the weakest should simply be killed off. You guys don't want choice. You want to take choice away from us. You're not offering a solution in which Andrew gets AI crap and Kevin gets good acting. You're saying Kevin also has to get the AI crap. And that's the problem I have, is it's anti-choice.
oh, I don't, but I didn't create that problem, right? Like,
Yeah,
if
but you're not trying to
Hollywood
solve
wants
it. You're not trying to solve it.
No,
You're
I
letting the
am.
capitalist
I
system,
am.
you're letting
No,
the
no, no,
capitalist
I
system
am.
ruin everything.
I am. What I'm saying is like, I think if you let the natural cause take place where AI does, like, we will find an alternative solution, just like musicians did. And you say Spotify's trying to kill the garage band, right? But we're not going to let that happen, right? As a society, that won't happen.
That's the problem. You would have said in the 80s, we wouldn't let everyone become obese by going and eating processed foods all the time. When the market forces push people that direction, consumers are bad at having choice, actually. In some cases, you shouldn't give them the choice to have the slop, because the market will go and people are going to just vibe out to the thing that Spotify plays next for them. And then all of a sudden the algorithm has learned they quote unquote like the AI generated slop. They don't, but that's what the app pushed on them. And they weren't actively participating in their choice because they didn't think they needed to, because consumers are kind of dumb, actually, en masse. We don't pay attention to these things the way that we should. So no, I'm not convinced Spotify isn't going to win. And so we should stop them. We should stop this. It's bad, actually.
Struggling with this one. All I can see is a golden future. All I
But
can
it's a
say,
good,
actually, I can see myself in one of the future Mission Impossible movies. How cool is that? I can watch myself in these movies and not have to.
I've seen you try to read our script opening up a podcast episode. I don't know. The AI is going to have a lot of work to make you.
It's not going to really be me. It's going to be the AI me.
It's going to be
I'm happy with
stealing.
that.
It will have stolen Tom Cruise's ability to act and stuck your digital face on top of it.
Do you know how many musicians right now? I mean, look at Auto-Tune. Look at the people are famous on Auto-Tune. They can't even sing. Some of these people can't even sing outside of the studio. They're famous. Technology's been fixing them for years. Why are we so upset with this? Like,
because it's still a human being who gets paid for their work. There's degrees. Everything's a matter of degrees. Not all murder is equal. We have degrees of murder. If this system, if our society can have degrees of murder, we can have degrees of technology assisting people versus replacing people. And this is the thing. The replacement is the problem. It's not interesting. You have that example of like the ugly kid who's never going to get a record deal. The ugly kid who's never going to get a record deal also isn't going to get a deal in Spotify's world, because Spotify is going to turn all music into AI generated nonsense. You are hoping for some utopia that skips the current next step and the current next step.
No, but couldn't you argue then that AI is the greatest equalizer because it cuts out the discrimination that every artist has ever felt because they weren't good looking enough or they didn't do something that helped them progress their career? Isn't it the great equalizer? Like,
You sound like a Massachusetts white person who says, I'm not racist. I hate everyone equally. The AI hates everyone equally and puts all of them out of a work. So now it's an equalizer because both the attractive musicians and the ugly musicians don't get to have any kind of success. No, you're
They
saying
do. They
no,
do,
they
though.
don't.
It's just in a different plane. It's not in Hollywood. Go make your movies and put them online. It's like children's people who go write their own children's book and they get self-published. Go make
And
a
you're
movie.
skipping the step where we've gone to a universal basic income and a utopic society in which you don't have to make money. Yeah. You're
But
skipping the
that's
important
the
step.
problem. That is the sting, right? Like that's the gap between now and. But my utopia is gorgeous, is it not?
I
It's just
don't.
gonna-
I don't need the AI bullshit as part of your utopia. We could skip the AI nonsense, flooding the market full of crap that kills people's brain cells. ChatGPT makes you stupid. ChatGPT is scientifically proven to dumb you down. It is bad for you. Everyone should stop using it.
Wow,
Yep.
so harsh.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Acceptance Criteria. To read articles that we've written on similar topics to the ones we talk about here, head over to the blog at acceptancepod.com. And a quick reminder, whether this is your first episode or you've been listening for a while, we wouldn't say no to your going and dropping 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leaving us a nice review. And if you want to leave us a bad review, remember the name of the podcast is The Thrilling Adventure Hour. Also tell your friends if you like the show and that they should check it out. Some of the best podcasts out there grow by word of mouth, and we'd much appreciate it.
And a friendly reminder that we're always interested in hearing questions directly from you, our listeners, especially for our segment User Stories. If you've got a scenario you'd like help with, whether it's working with a problematic engineering or product team member, trying to navigate the never-ending pitfalls with agile processes, or you just can't understand why your favorite app is evolving away from what drew you to it in the first place, we're here to talk it through with you. You can send those questions to acceptancepod@gmail.com or submit them on the Discord in the User Stories channel, and we might be able to help you on a future episode. And we're happy to keep it anonymous so no one can trace it back to you if you end up shit-talking a coworker or something.
For now, I'm Kevin Thomas Euland, and you can find me on most apps at KThomasEuland. That's ULLAND.
And I'm Andrew Greener, and you can find me on most apps at Criteria Greener. That's GREINER. And this has been Acceptance Criteria. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.